All right, moving on to Donald Trump's speech from last Saturday. Okay, I want to talk about this speech. I don't love talking about Donald Trump speeches because they get a ton of news coverage anyway. I'm sick of Donald Trump. Everyone at this point pretty much knows how I feel about Donald Trump, and so I don't love. And plus, Donald Trump says a bunch of crap, and I don't like, just analyzing his crap as if it should be worth taking seriously. But at the same time, we should take politicians at their word, regardless of how erratically they say stuff. And so I'm going to try to evaluate Trump's speech, not just on this was a mean thing that he said, okay, because the whole meme of, oh, but he has mean tweets, okay, I think that's dumb anyway, because I think mean tweets do matter. And when you're, are aggressive and mean and hostile towards people and unkind towards people, I think that speaks to your character. And so I think those things are worth evaluating. But putting those aside, what I want to focus on is policy. What policy is Donald Trump pushing in some of his speeches and some of his rhetoric? And so the first policy that Donald Trump kind of pushed was with the January 6th, what he called hostages. Okay, so people who are in prison due to their actions and behavior on January 6th, 2021, and some of them are still in prison because they, turns out, broke the law, and when you break the law, you spend time in jail or prison, okay? And so he called them hostages and called them amazing patriots, and he said that he would, take care of them or handle them, I don't remember his exact wording, very early in his administration, okay? Which, what does that mean? We can debate what exactly that means of handling it, dealing with that situation, but nonetheless, he's calling these people who, actively tried to stop the transfer of power, the peaceful transfer of power. They actively tried to stop that. They trespassed and vandalized in a lot of cases federal property, and he is calling them patriots for that, and is promising to kind of ameliorate their situation in some capacity. Okay, I think that's bad policy, but even maybe I don't know if it's worse. Okay, but more specifically. Okay, a policy that he did indeed more specifically advocate for was instituting a 100% tariff on cars built by Chinese companies in Mexico. Okay, so this was kind of in response to these Chinese automakers who are beginning to build and manufacture their cars in Mexico. And then those cars, in some instances, are being traded with the United States and being brought into the country and sold to the American consumers, okay? So tariff policy we can go back and forth on that, okay? How much tariffs should we or should we not put on China? Are there national security concerns with China, and that's why we need to implement tariffs, et cetera, okay? But a 100% tariff on cars built by Chinese companies in Mexico is insane, okay? Not only is it insane because it jacks up the prices of those cars and hurts American consumers, okay? American consumers are harmed by tariffs. It's just like putting a tax on you. If you put a tariff on a good, it makes that good more expensive because the company is now having to pay more in order to access the market, which means they have to recover that loss in some capacity, which means raising prices. So tariffs always hurt consumers, okay? Now, we can possibly say, but it's worth hurting the American consumer because these companies in China are taking advantage of something, okay? I don't even really know what, okay? Because cars are not a national security concern, so I don't really know the justification here other than he doesn't like China. Okay, but not only is it bad enough that it hurts consumers, but it will inevitably lead to China jacking up tariffs on American-made products sold in China. And that's a big deal because that is going to hurt American companies. Okay, American companies want and need access and have, in a lot of cases, access to Chinese market, okay? The Chinese market is a growing it's been growing. It still is growing. It's not growing as fast. The middle class in China has been growing, which is a main market for companies. They buy lots of goods. And so when by jacking up tariffs on these car companies, Donald Trump is almost inevitably leading to China jacking up tariffs on American-made goods in China, leading to less of those goods being bought. which means those companies, American companies, are selling fewer goods, making less money. When they make less money, they have less money to spend on capital expenditures, on investment in future growth, and in current kind of employees. Okay, so they are making less money. They can't pay as many people. May or may not cut jobs and be forced to cut jobs, and aren't creating jobs by investing in new projects. Okay, so this is a very, very bad idea. Okay, even if we don't like China, 100% tariffs on every car that comes across the border is insane. And it will hurt the economy. Which again, we can have the argument about whether hurting the economy is good for national security reasons. But I don't know how in this instance cars are a national security concern. Okay, so we can talk about chips, microchips. We can talk about pharmaceutical drugs. We can talk about things like that. But cars, I just don't see how they fall into that category of national security.